Principles and methods of historical critical exegesis. What is historical critical exegesis? Source criticism, form criticism, redaction criticism, and YEDP. Exegesis is a noun, and it's an explanation of interpretation of any given text. It's to understand the who, what, when, where, how, why, and most importantly, what can we learn, if any. We're going to be looking at the principles of doubt when it comes into context with the biblical scriptures, and the theologians of the 18th and 19th century scholars wanted to separate themselves from the Roman Catholic Church theologians when the development of the Enlightenment and the awakening period in the Western society. So they created 8 principles, and the first one is of doubt. The second principle is of perspicuity and the right reason. Now, perspicuity is wanting to seek clarity where there is vagueness. And in our culture, we want to read within scripture within the scriptures. So we're looking at one verse to understand through another verse. However, when we look at it in the literal context, we want to look for the right reason. Are we interpreting it correctly using the scientific methods that we've employed throughout everything that we have done in all of our lives, whether it's medicine or other? Principle 3 is looking at now the intent of the author. We want to find out a single literal meaning from one human author. They were starting in the beginning to have a Christology and spiritual applications, but later in the centuries they started looking to further into the more just what did the author mean, not so much in the spiritual aspect, but what did he really mean, and in the context of where he lived, what was going on around him. And because of that, we lost the spiritual sense. When they started looking at it with the strict focus of what did the interpreter literally mean, we lost context of what the spiritual aspect of. They continue to move further and further away from the spiritual aspect of the Bible to the more literal meaning of each and every word and each and every term and each and every location of the author. Now, with the authorial intent that we've listed above, we come to realize that there are Bible shows that there are multiple writers, but none of them are actually being singly divined as to show, hey, I wrote this, with the exception of a few certain letters. The letters of Paul, the letters of Peter, and the letters of John. Now, we want to be free from the church religious dogma that they wanted to move away from in order to understand their interpretations. They wanted to free their mind of anything and everything that they have ever been taught or led to believe, since none of that was able to be scientifically proven. The historical criticism and the academic precision all stems from the division of the biblical text and the church doctrine. And with the more wanting to scientific approach and historical research on the who, what, when, where, how, and why. And with the loss of spirituality comes the loss of some of the main virtue that they really don't want to use anymore: faith, hope, and love. And they do want to use other virtues such as neutrality and the historical accumulations. Now, the different types of criticism, the source criticism, form criticism, and redaction criticism, all stems from the different types of literatures that's out there. We have the straight works of literature given in any system format, whether it's oral tradition or written. And then we have the form criticism, which stems more towards the pre-literary state, which is our legends, our hymns, our laments, our linguistic traditions, the oral stories of the people. And the redaction is a collection of fragmented works, like, say, like the Dead Sea Scrolls that they found. Those are a collection of fragmented works due to the fact that many of them have been destroyed over time. So they only have specific fragments, so they can only interpret what those fragments are. The YEDP stems from Julius Wellhausen, and he's talking about the Yahwehist, the Elohist, the Deuteronomic, and the priestly aspects of the Pentateuch, divided into these four sources. However, come to realize these four sources are not specific to any one literature. They all are interwoven within the entire works of the Bible. And these are my acknowledgments. Thank you. Have a good night.